Hi guys, in this video I want to share with you how Sony ZV E10 and Sony A10-105 f4 perform in low light situations. I'm going to cover 4 aspects: sharpness, noise, bokeh, and aperture. For each topic, I'm going to show you several sample images and footages so that you can see what I mean. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you some tips I found useful when shooting low light videos or photos. Now let's get started. First, sharpness. In my previous lens review, I mentioned that this lens is pretty sharp, but in low light situations, not so much. With the aperture of only f4, in order to avoid noise, you probably won't want to increase the ISO too much. So the only thing you can do is to lower your shutter speed, which will decrease the sharpness of your image. And it also becomes more difficult to focus on your subject. So I guess it depends on what you use your images and footages for. Like if you're posting your photos on Instagram, then the sharpness is definitely enough. But if you're going to view your photos on a large screen, then the blur is actually quite noticeable. So I would say that if you really have to take photos or footages in absolute low light environment, you should probably use a tripod. Now let's talk about noise. The sensor of Sony ZV E10 isn't very big, and again, with the aperture of only f4, I would not suggest using this camera and this lens under absolute low light situations. Take a look at this footage I took in a very dark alley. The buildings are very tall, so almost all the light sources are blacked out. And it's a pretty black cat, so this is the kind of scenario that I would call absolute low light. Avoid using this lens and this camera in environments like this. However, if there are some light in the environment, you don't really have to worry about noise. Take this footage for example. You can tell that it's pretty dark, but we have one bright light source. So even when you watch this footage with a large screen, the noise is actually almost unnoticeable. If you want to see more 4K low light footages, feel free to click on the link on the top right corner. Next, bokeh. When I bought this lens, I was a little worried about not being able to create a beautiful bouquets. But actually I found that it is easier to create bouquets with this lens than with my Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. This may sound unbelievable. This Sony lens only has f4 and the Sigma lens has f1.4. But don't forget, the Sony lens is a zoom lens, so when you zoom in, you can compress the background, and that's how you create bouquets. As long as you stay close to your subject, the distance between your subject and the background light is further than the distance between you and your subject, then you can easily create some beautiful bouquets. The next thing I want to talk about is aperture. I know that in the previous 3 topics, I talked about the f4 of this lens as if it's a downside, but you have to keep in mind that this is a zoom lens with the zoom range of 18-105, and the aperture is the constant f4. So when you zoom in or zoom out, you don't have to worry about the light changing all the time. Regarding this, I would say that this lens beats some of the prime lenses and some zoom lenses with changing aperture. My suggestion of shooting with this combination is that try to include some light sources in your pictures or your videos. so that it won't be absolute low light. It's actually more pleasing to the eye, and you will also create better quality content. I would also suggest shooting in manual mode because you probably won't want the camera to decide things for you in low light situations. If you really don't like to shoot in manual mode, at least set your maximum and minimum ISO in order to avoid noise. Another tip is to shoot in RAW format. It will be easier to edit because you will have more range to adjust the light and color. Overall, I'm still pretty satisfied with this lens and camera combination. It might not be the perfect combination for low light environment, but it is definitely good enough considering the price and the zoom range. If I have to upgrade my gears in the future, I would probably choose either Sigma 18-50 f2.8 or Tamron 17-70 f2.8. Anyway, this is the video for today. I hope you find it helpful. If you do, please give me a thumbs up and I'll see you next time. Bye!